Good day, everybody, and welcome to 7 Days to Die. I'm your host, Lowfdog, the fifth favorite dog by the 7 Days to Die development team. So, there you go. The other 4 dogs, of course, being real dogs. Yeah, I didn't really make the short list. Anyway, you guys been wondering where I've been for the last 2 weeks. We've had all sorts of technical issues. Alpha 13 causes huge memory leaks. And when you're rendering and recording video, it's absolutely horrible for it. A couple of deaths in previous patches are directly due to me trying to render video. It seems a little more stable now, but not all the memory leaks are out there. For whatever reason, the NVIDIA graphics, or maybe it's the audio, is causing huge problems. So what it means is I have to cut short and relog every so often, or bad things happen, and it really accelerates with the video process. So I guess the good news is maybe I'll be a little less long-winded. The bad news is I can't use face rig or anything like that. For a long-term solution, I'm going to buy a second machine and build a PC box just to do the video capture and the streaming aspects. And by offloading that, at least when it crashes, I'm not gonna lose my video footage, and you can see the crash for yourselves. Yeah, you can see me have to hard boot my machine. Love to do that. Done that like 6 or 7 times now. But anyway, let's take a look at what I'm working on. I've decided to go to the wasteland to start rehabbing the building. This is probably the best way if you're just starting out and you want to be a builder. I recommend this is what you do. Turn the zombies off because they will kill you. They're pretty merciless, and there's cops out here, and yeah, that's never good. Rehabbing wasteland buildings is the best way to start, because you'll see how structural integrity works, kind of, and get an idea of what a good design for buildings are. As you can see from this building here, we've got, this is the load-bearing structure here, the concrete. And I think I'm probably lagging a second. There are 5 bricks, and then you see another load-bearing structure. This is kind of a good rule of thumb when you're building your building. You can build larger. I've built buildings with the 7x7 grid. It gets a little trickier, but you can do it. But we'll talk about more of that as we get into advanced things. But if you're building, you know, this is a good place to start. If you rehab the buildings, you'll kind of see how things go together, where they're putting in stairwells, things like that, and then you'll start to do that for yourself. I didn't want to actually use the auger right now. Now I cleared a big space of land. As you can see, I cleared it out pretty flat. I only messed up a couple of times. I used a combination of TNT to get rid of the building itself. There was a ruined building here. And the seed is Dogtown. We're in the 00 city, so if you find your location, and here it is on the map, I'm at 19 North, 69 East. You can kind of see what it looked like before. There's a little bit of a structure here, and there was some poop around there. And I'll show you more about how to do building demolition in the coming months. Now you see here we have these little divots. This is where trash was. And so what I've been doing is I removed the asphalt, and then I replaced the block, and that gets rid of the trash on the ground if you're cleaning up your city and you want it to not look post-apocalyptic, which some people, you know, they don't like that kind of thing. So you can do this with the auger. You can give yourself, you know, pickaxes and things like that if you want to be a little more precise about what you're doing. And then you Then you kill that block, and then you put that back in there, just like so. And then look, it's clean. It's kind of a pain to do. You can also flatten things out. If you have uneven terrain, this is a good way to do that. You place down the frames, and then you get rid of the frames. Of course, you only need one row. You don't know how to place frames like a dumb dog. You can just place them, and once you pick them back up, then they're all nice and flat for you. This is a good way. You can do this in the real game too. We do this a lot when I'm making the lawn. We try to have a nice flat lawn outside of our bases so that we can fight zombies. Although the noise hordes they used to be like a fun little, oh hey, there's the noise horde, let's go smack the screamer, let her, spawn the horde, and then we'll take all the loot from it. We tend not to do that in later later days. I think it's past day 14. Those noise hordes start to get increasingly nasty. So it looks like we're gonna have to get to the point where we're gonna do all of our smithing and our cooking at a remote site, which is I don't think that's really ideal, but I'm gonna do that in a way to minimize the amount of annoyance we get from the game, because I'll tell you what, I don't like to be outside the walls when we summon one of those noise hordes, and we've had a couple of them. Zombie bears, cops, dogs, hornets. Even during the day, those things are pretty nasty if they catch you off guard. Especially in large numbers, because we play on max zombie spawns. Now what you see I'm doing here is the same 5x5 grid that I'm talking about. I'm laying out here. This is going to be where the skyscraper is, and I'm laying it out here just like so. And this is just mostly, I'm using the wood frames to make sure that I don't mess up. The carpenters, they say measure, twice, cut once. In this case, measure twice, put down, steel wall blocks, because you really don't want to have to take out the steel wall block after you place it, unless there are plenty of, in Slan and Big C have shown me, some of those things that you can do to deal with that kind of thing. And you can also build your buildings in the editor. I don't tend to like to do that because I like to see what I'm doing. I really do like the actual hands-on visual aspect of making the block. These mobile spotlights, by the way, are amazing in-game. If you're playing for real or out of, or not, you can really just light up the countryside. As you see, it's 9:53, and it's kind of like like a night baseball game. So maybe I will build a baseball field, nothing like the stadium, because I don't feel like doing that again for a while. And they really messed up my concrete, the way the concrete looks, so I'm gonna have to rethink how I do all of that stuff. Not the big fan for building of the new concrete, but I do appreciate the concrete texture. I think it has some uses, but most of them are like really creepy. I think you can make a really good crypt out of it, and maybe you could make some good skyscrapers with the concrete. I don't know yet. We'll see. We will definitely see. But yeah, so I'm placing all this stuff, and this is where the supports are gonna go. And it's really just this part of it is kind of the mindless process. It can be very soothing unless you place them in the wrong place like I just did. But you lay out the grid, and then everything matches up, and then you start to, build your building. This building is going to be very loosely based on the Seagram's building in New York. Due to the space restrictions, it has like a kind of an additional outbuilding that's like almost like an L shape around it. I'm just going to build, it's going to be more of a straight up building, and but I am going to do some of those kind of basic things. So the supports are going to be they're going to be steel walls, and then I'm going to be using the black the drop ceiling O2. I'm going to be using that, and I'm going to be using probably the painted wood to kind of add a little architectural flair. And I'm not sure what kind of windows we're going to use yet. We're going to have to test some of that stuff out, and we'll do that probably for episode 2, which will be tomorrow. So don't worry. I'm just going to record these little things. They're not going to be nearly as funny as some of the other things. Although, you know, could be argued that maybe those other things weren't very funny either. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, laying this out, and look how dark it gets at night now. It's really hard to see. Thank God for these mobile spotlights, or I would have to, like, you know, mess with the time, and I do kind of like to let the time progress normally. That kind of gives you a sense of the ridiculous amount of time that has gone into creating these buildings. So yeah, we'll do that. And as you can see, the building location that I picked over here, this is a pretty good place to start for building a bunch of skyscrapers. We've got a Born and Noble here. This will be a real quick fix to make this look nice. So that'll be really good. I'll fix up some of these buildings, probably this one and that one, and then over here we've got, as we head over there, we've got a big hole with a pond. Probably this will be another skyscraper, and then we'll definitely build those things up. So I think it'll be pretty good. And when this is done, if it can ever, you know, really be done, I think we'll have a nice little kind of townlet, kind of a new Nantucket, so we can get Big C to come ride around in here, and maybe by then I'll actually be good at. Did I use 500 already? Wow. And you know, maybe we'll see how I am with the mini bikes. It looks like mini bike parts are actually dropping in A13. Although we've been finding a lot of really, really poor quality batteries. My advice to you is, if you have horrible batteries that are less than orange quality, that are gray quality, that you make the mobile spotlights out of them. Because tactically these things are amazing for 7-day hordes. And I'll show you our base. I'll do a video of the crew base so that you can kind of see what we're working with. But being able to really light up the countryside like we're doing here is just an amazing thing. And the only other thing I would recommend you not use a battery of really poor quality in the mini bike. Maybe keep one with you. It looks like that bug where you break a battery and then you repair it, and then it still doesn't work. Maybe you need a second battery to make that first battery work. So that would be what I would use those poor quality batteries for. But tactically speaking, I'm gonna suggest that, you know, mobile spotlights first, and then the mini bike, the actual mini bike batteries, you know, later. Yeah. So as you can see, look, the grid's coming into coming into itself really fast, and once I put some floors on this thing, and actually make the walls, I think you're gonna see how nice of a place this is really fast, and we'll see how that actually looks. But anyway, I'm worried about the hard cap time for rendering, so I'm gonna cut this video short, and then so we'll have a lot of mini installments, so I won't probably have to do too much editing, but you'll be able to see this as it goes on. And see what I did there? Oh, still didn't do it right. But you'll be able to see the updates, and I'll record all of these things in little segments so that we don't lose any time, and you can see the building being constructed. So episode 1 of this series. Hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe, give me a like. If you do, that will make me a happy dog, and I will be able to afford more Skittles. That's right, I made $3.83 so far, which I believe I'm going to be donating to a charity. Maybe it's maybe it's a charity to send Big C to rehab. I'm not sure. Anyway, have a good one, everybody. Goodbye. In a world where dogs pointlessly destroy things, one dog has a plan. What? Did I get it? Who knows? Apparently I need to work on my demolition skills.
Nice.